What's going on, guys? Evan the Xenogears Enthusiast here, bringing another Dark Souls gameplay commentary on the Xbox 360. This will be part 9 of my Elly installment series where I walk you through this character's developmental growth, starting from the introductory soul level and sort of proceeding all the way on to the character's ultimate destination, which is player versus player. We'll hide the creation of valuable items or the location of some valuable items. It's unlikely I can hit every item in the game, but I could, but it's unlikely every item in the game will be hit in the gameplay commentary. But in any case, stuttering a little bit, day after Christmas, guys. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. This walkthrough is going to tell you a little bit about the Catacombs, things to watch out for, things that are fun. You know, just an overview of the Catacombs. I've got sort of 20-ish minutes to talk to you guys. So see everything we fit in and don't fit in. This is going to be a two-parter because the Catacombs are pretty large and there's a lot of significant items in here that one can miss. So I figured I would just go ahead and show the entire thing. So with that said, let's jump right into it. Elly at this point is using a Divine S-Stock. It doesn't really matter what weapon using the Catacombs, provided it has holy damage. Now, holy damage is on divine weapons or weapons that have divine attributes to them. There's some uniques that do so, but I don't know all of them offhand. I know Astora's straight sword at the start of the game, which I show you in part 1 of my commentaries, is divine, but it doesn't really do enough damage. Now, a good trick with these guys, if you don't have a good divine weapon, is to go get Astora's straight sword and keep your main weapon main hand. You can hit them with your main weapon and bring them near death and switch to Astora's to land the killing blow. As long as the killing blow is dealt with something holy, I know they don't come back, so that's pretty nifty. The first bonfire is right up ahead. At least there's a bonfire early in the Catacombs. If you don't know, you reach the Catacombs right off the skeleton graveyard from Firelink Shrine. This ultimately is the Tomb of the Giants, which is one of the last areas in the game. Gravelord Nito's also the ultimate boss of the Tomb of the Giants, and Pinwheel is the boss of the Catacombs. Pinwheel's really easy, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. You'll find those big doors block your progress through the Catacombs. You just have to find the levers to open them. Oh, and these guys, these are the Necromancers. They shoot fireballs, which are actually somewhat difficult to dodge, and they can hit you from the darkness. They're carrying skull lanterns, which, if they drop, that's really convenient because the Tomb of the Giants after this area is completely pitch black, and if you can get your hands on a skull lantern, it'll light up the area. Now, you can find one in the Tomb of the Giants, but having more than one is pretty nifty because you can trade one to Sparkly, and you can light up the areas before you actually reach the skull lantern in the Catacombs, or rather in the Tomb of the Giants. But let's talk a little bit more about the Catacombs. There's a lot of really nifty items down here for faith casters. If you're not a faith caster, paladin armor. If you're not a faith caster, most of the significant items are going to be in the next area, which is the Tomb of the Giants. That is the first area in the game you can acquire white tantanite chunks outside of killing fake people for the Force Covenant, to my knowledge, or by trading with Snuggly. Those items, white tantanite chunks allow you to make high-level divine weapons. Pretty much the Catacombs serves as the gateway to the Tomb of the Giants, where the game, I think, picks up in terms of good drops and stuff like that. Once you get the Lord Vessel, there's no real requirement on the order you fight bosses or go through areas, but I think the Tomb of the Giants is probably the hardest area in the game. It and Crystal Cave. Crystal Cave is hard because the navigation's really hard and the enemies are kind of annoying. I don't think Seath's that hard. Neither is Gravelord Nito, though. Tomb of the Giants. What makes this area hard is you're not equipped for it. It's just a nightmare. If you don't have a divine weapon to seal the skeletons, every time you kill them, they'll shatter and they'll come back together and revive, like in Skeleton Warriors. If you guys have seen that old animated cartoon, that shows the stuff, man. And I'm having like a little revival recently where I want to go watch all these like old animated cartoons and stuff. Like I've been buying like the X-Men 1999 cartoon and like the old Batman cartoons, and man, I'm loving them. Like this thing's just like way ahead of their time. I was watching, I was like, this is a pretty mature plot. I don't think I appreciated it fully when I was younger, but yeah, this is good stuff. Anyway, sorry, a little off topic there. With the Necromancers, if you don't have a divine weapon, pretty much you have to kill the Necromancer, and that will keep the skeletons from reviving. But that's the hard way to do it. I don't recommend that way. I'd rather just get a divine weapon, or at least start sealing them as you go. Because trying to rush forward to get to the Necromancer, that can be pretty tough. The Necromancers, of course, will run away when you approach them. They might shoot a couple fireballs and run, but typically their AI tells them to run all the way to the back of an area where they can run no more. So the odds of you just getting surrounded by reviving skeletons are pretty high. I've never really succeeded doing the run by and smash the necromancer strategy. I suppose it's probably viable if you don't mind dying going back to the bonfire over and over, but I'm carrying a huge stack of humanity here at 17, and it's only going to go up, so I'd really rather not die. The reason I'm stalking that much humanity is I like to invade people on occasion, and also I can't really, like, the first covenant that's going to take humanity that I'm going to actually level up is the Dark Wraith to get like the Dark Wraith armor and sword and Dark Sword and stuff like that. Elly probably won't remain a member of the Dark Wraith Covenant because I don't really want it for this character, but because it doesn't really give you any cool faith-based miracles. But there are organizations that do, and she'll be joining one of those. I'm not sure which one yet. Probably Sun Brothers, Sunlight Warriors. We all call them Sun Brothers. Anyway, a little more on the Catacombs. It's full of like hidden areas with like valuable items. There's a lot of like souls down here, like That right there is sort of a homage, that Lucerine item or hammer I just picked up. That's kind of similar to the hammer, the Faith Hammer from Demon Souls. Myrmidon Hammer. Yeah, there's an item in Demon Souls called the Myrmidon Hammer, which was usually used as a faith weapon. Anyway, the point is, it stun-locked people really, really bad. It scaled heavily with faith, and when its moveset almost always hit stun people, so it became sort of like a joke for Faith Warriors to run it, because it was just so good. I want to say overpowered, but it was definitely like probably the top 3 weapons choices in the game, at least for me. It was like only second to katanas in terms of like dealing out damage and just murdering people. All these guys have physical attacks, so you can block their stuff for days. Considering the Catacombs are long and fairly dangerous, I recommend playing safe, block. I wouldn't try to parry, do anything fancy. The Catacombs is a bit of a grind, and if you're only carrying 5 flasks, it's going to be kind of a long walk to the next bonfire, which we'll get to at the end of this video, and you'll see me hitting a couple walls and stuff. You'll see my buddy Flash ask if I want to get in chat, but I texted him and told him I was commentating, and he's like, that's ballin'. He's got his new PVR equipment for Christmas, so I'm looking forward to some of his commentaries. Affiliate our channel, so when he gets going, maybe you guys want to check his stuff out. We'll be dual commentating Modern Warfare 3, which will probably be when Modern Warfare 3 comes back to my channel. I'm just really not into that game at all. I enjoyed my free prestige token for Christmas. Yeah, that was a really nice thought. Thank you, Infinity Ward, but maybe instead you should patch the game. I realize the two aren't equated, but guys, really, that game is messed up, and I just don't want to play a substandard game. I like shooters, and I'd like to have more shooter commentary on this channel, but honestly, when I have this game to compete with it, oh, that skeleton drops in humanity. This game's just always going to win. It's just much better made. Whatever problems exist in PvP, they're not as bad. It's just, this game's just vastly superior. As sad as that is to say, and that's not because I don't like shooters. This is just better made. This isn't a dog on Modern Warfare 3 commentary. I'm just sort of sharing my frustration, and I know a lot of people are still subscribed, originally subscribed for Call of Duty stuff, but I don't know, there's a million Call of Duty commentators out there, and maybe it's time to find my way somewhere else. I'll definitely still commentate Call of Duty, but it's not going to be the focus of the channel anymore. I really liked Black Ops, which permitted me sort of the willpower to continually commentate Black Ops, because I thought the game was really well made. It was a huge step up for Modern Warfare 2 to me, and I loved it. And I screamed at the community on message boards and blog FAQs, screaming that it was for sure the best Call of Duty yet. And people just kind of shrugged me off and said, no, it's terrible, too much camping, Ghost is overpowered. Now that Modern Warfare 3 is out, pretty much everyone's saying, let's go back to Black Ops. It upsets me. I'm a little lost right now hearing commentary. I'm trying to determine if this is a loop, and then I determine, yes, it is. It just loops. That's it's just such a small drop, you kind of think your character could climb up it, but no, that's just one of those things in video games. But soon I'm going to figure out that it's a loop, and I'm actually going to proceed forward. Before coming to the Catacombs, I have a couple recommendations, getting back on topic. A little segue there. First things first. Oh, these little wisp guys. You cannot attack them. They just fly towards you and explode, and they do a hella damage. Not only that, but they tend to blow you off ledges into holes, killing you. That's not good. They blow the skeletons up too. Friendly fire is definitely an option, but the problem is if you didn't hit them with a divine weapon, they're just going to come back anyway. So it's not really that helpful. I'm not sure how hitting skeletons off drops works. I think they just piece back together up on the ledge with you. Just kind of lame. I could be wrong there, but I think that's what happened with that one skeleton that just blew up to the wisp. There's also a jump down point where you can drop straight to the boss. Like you can jump off this, well, it's a cliff up ahead, and you can jump straight down to the boss. I don't know if I'll demonstrate that on these videos. That'll probably be in like a later part. It lets you get a couple not so valuable items and lets you get straight to the boss, but it's really dangerous getting there that way, and you will miss out on some stuff, so it's better just to go the long way. It's pretty scary if you get invaded down here, because there's so many ledges for them to knock you off, and so many like lines of sight for mages and the extremely rare archers out there. Plus, these levers that rotate these bridges, they can be activated more than once, so, like it's not like a one-time thing. So I've been like crossing a bridge and had people pull a lever out and just drop me to my death. So it's like one of the scariest places to get invaded. When I get invaded here, I usually just like hold position wherever I am and wait for them to come to me. Then we go at it. It's kind of a defensive position here. You know, I got the Necromancer defended by his 2 skeleton warriors. Best way to deal with this, I think, is just to pull him back, pull him away from the Necro, because his damage hits hard and you can't just tank all of it with a shield. Unless you have a high fire resist shield, which this character does not, so gotta go this way. So now that I've pulled those 2, I can charge the Necro. He probably will retreat when I get near him. Or not, or he'll just face me like a man. Respectable, but terrible choice. Poke, 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 poke. Got the Rapier, which is for sure classy. I guess we can talk a little bit about weapon choice right now, since I've already sort of given you the overview of how to get through the Catacombs, and the rest will be done by the gameplay. Weapon choice in this game all comes down to preference, because you can really enchant any weapon or to do what you need it to do. You can really specialize any weapon to any upgrade path. Certain weapons would be optimal than others, but it's not so stringent that you have to be really careful about your weapon choice. More so your upgrade choice. But, like, I'm using a Rapier, and that means I favor range, my shield, and backstab damage, because those are all things that the Rapier excels at. The Rapier doesn't do a whole lot of just outright damage. Pretty much any, like, other weapon classes are better for that. Like, if you want, like, big arcs on your strikes, like you want to hit multiple enemies, then you want, like, pretty much any of the big weapons, like Z1D Air is pretty popular for that. Scythe, Great Scythe has just a great moveset. There's too many items for me to sort of explain one by one in the gameplay, but it's an important thing to consider when you're planning your character, like, because you're only going to have access to the weapons you've leveled strength into, and if you're trying to stop at about 120, like I am, 120, 125, the soul level, you know, it's not like, oh, I'll just add points later. No, once you hit 125, the character's done if you tend to stay at that range. So that's one of those things to keep in mind. I knew I was going to be using a Rapier primarily, and so I kept my strength really, really low. Now I'm not 120 yet, and I still could raise my strength, but you know, it's pretty important to have your weapon choice planned out, at least in the first 50 levels, I'd say. That way you can, you know, decide before 120, and of course your decisions have to go in line with what level you want to stop at. I mean, some people like to do like the low-level grief invasions, where they stop at like soul level 50 at like Sen's Fortress and just kind of camp out there. I think that's pretty poor form on the part of the community, but it's really popular, and a lot of people will like build around a particular like really effective weapon at that level, and then, you know, you just have to plan your build out for when you want to stop. For those of you that are just going to grind out the game, this isn't a huge consideration. The golden rule there is never put more points into strength than the weapon you're currently going to use. So, like, you get 16 for the Drake Sword, most players will. And you can drop down that hole to get to the blacksmith, which I'll show later. The Catacombs is the location of the Vamos, the blacksmith for the fire weapons, fire and chaos. So, you know, here's a good drop-off for people looking to make some fire stuff, ultimately. Excuse me, just a little yawn after Christmas, you know. Didn't get to go home for Christmas, but going home soon, so pretty excited about that. I'm exploring right now. I feel like I missed something. The Catacombs, I don't play the Catacombs much. Like, this isn't a place I run or I invade because I hate the Catacombs, but I don't hate them, but I don't like the Catacombs very much, and they're kind of confusing, and I get lost easily. Here's where I'm trying to come. Yeah, I did miss something. These rooms here usually have holes that you drop into. Oh, one last thing about the Catacombs. This is where you reach the Gravelord's Covenant, which will be in this series of videos, and I will join it, and I will rank it up. Crystal Geckos. These guys, we gotta take a special minute to talk about these guys. You've probably encountered them in the game. They drop really valuable materials. But they disappear. That's what's frustrating about them. and the only way to get them if they disappear is to save load. Because in Demon Souls, what sucked about these guys was once the crystal gecko ran away and disappeared, it was gone, man. It didn't matter what you did. Once it ran away, it was never coming back. So if it was dropping a really, really rare stone and it got away from you, that sucked. And the way they did the crystal geckos in Demon Souls was probably the biggest problem with that game, I thought, at least from the single player perspective, because it sucked really bad. I did not enjoy it. This game is much better. In Demon Souls, the crystal geckos respawn every time you killed a boss, so you can farm up on them. This time they're only there once. Look how fast that disappeared. There's no way to catch that unless you come in like sneaking. Thankfully, you can just save load and they'll respawn on this game. You only get to kill them once, not every time per boss, but now, if you miss them, they'll keep respawning until you actually kill them. So getting geckos isn't as like frustrating as it was in Demon Souls. In Demon Souls, like you would like legit go get gear just to kill that gecko. Like you would go get a bow just to kill that gecko, or go learn a miracle just to kill that gecko. It was really frustrating, and it's something I'm glad they realized they did wrong and fixed. You know, if only every developer would fix problems in their games. Yeah. Sorry. This is going to be a fail here, I think. I think this one gets away from me, despite the fact I hit them. Because once you hit them, they fall on their back and are kind of stunned. But the hitbox on them is tiny. And my character, Elly, keeps poking over them. I don't know her problem. She's confused. She doesn't want to kill the cute little gecko. I don't know. Bad joke is bad. So it's important to remember though, like those things drop really, really rare stones. Like they don't drop anything unique to my knowledge, but they drop stuff that's so exceedingly rare that you might have to farm for hours, like maybe 8+ hours, to find some of the supply, like the materials they drop. So don't miss this, guys. Just save or load and get them. You know, don't go to New Game Plus until you've killed all the geckos in New Game. You can find a list of their locations online. There's too many for me to list out. They're really not that bad. The ones in Crystal Cave and Great Hollow, now they're bad. Like they're straight up bad, and it's a miserable experience. But like those right there, they're not bad at all. And ones in the Undead Berg, they're not bad. No, not a big problem. Oh, roll between those pretty handedly. Break all these pots because they're cool to break. Ah! And I think there's like a hidden wall here, but I don't know if there is. I think there's actually just like... Yeah, see, I went the wrong way. That's that's why I was trying to find a hidden wall. So these hidden walls are like the place I miss items and have to come back for them. I've never actually completed a game missing any like really important items. I always come back and get them because I like remember later. But when you're commentating like I am, like, and you miss something, it's really frustrating because then I have to make like an addendum video and like put it on the end, or like part 14, like Elly part 14, the Lost Levels Mario Edition, finding the items I couldn't find before. Stuff like that. Anyway, to get out of here, I gotta drop to the floor again. Something to the floor can be scary because, like, I know I always take fall damage. I'm always afraid they're gonna drop me on like 7 enemies, but this time they don't. They drop me over here where I previously was with the lever, so no big deal. Not gonna pull that out and rotate the bridge again. Now comes the final trek of this part of the Catacombs run. Just getting to the getting to the bonfire. While this video uploads, I'll start doing Catacombs Part 2 for those of you guys who are like on the edge of your seat waiting for my content, which I doubt there's many of you, but for those of you that are, I'll be doing Part 2 while Part 1 uploads, so that'll be coming shortly thereafter, because I want to catch my commentary up today with where my gameplay is, and it's a pretty big disparity, so I need to get on it. Thankfully, because this isn't a complete Let's Play, I get to cut out some of the more boring things I did, like grinding for souls to upgrade, grinding for stones to upgrade to a divine weapon for the Catacombs. You know, the advantages of doing post-commentary as opposed to Let's Plays. Anyway, we're going to hit the bonfire up ahead here through this hidden wall. Really convenient, I know. Also, this is where Patches will be. He'll be up that ladder I passed, but he won't be around my game. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll elaborate more on that next time. And once again, I hope everyone had a great Christmas holiday, and I'll hopefully see you guys for Part 2.